Hello.
Hi.
Kayla Lords.
John Brownstone.
Of Loving BDSM, where we help kinksters like you have happy, healthy power exchange relationships. We're back to answer a question from a kinkster. This one is not about power exchange relationships, but it's about the local kink community. Okay, this person puts their question at the top.
All right.
What do I do when I have an objectively bad local BDSM community? I'm still a newbie, aka I have not been in a DS dynamic or engaged in my kinks other than in the form of online sex work like OnlyFans. Everyone suggests new people go to local community events such as munches, educational events, join groups, etc. But my area is just not good, to put it lightly. I am 6 hours away from a big metro city, and other events outside my city are still a couple hours away at minimum. My local community only has 2 groups and 1 small swingers group. The 2 main BDSM groups are extremely problematic and have too many red flags for me to feel comfortable to ever engage with these groups. Every single munch, social event, educational event, etc. is tied to either one of these groups. How am I supposed to meet people now? A lot of others have suggested making my own group, which I have, the Next Generation or TNG Munches. But I've had 4 events so far, 2 of which no one showed up, and the other 2 where it was just one other person and me, which is fine. I completely understand that starting something from scratch will take time to grow, but the experience of starting something is still wildly different from joining something that's already established. Also, I'm not sure I'm the best person to be hosting such events since I am still new. I've done hours upon hours of research on BDSM in general and hosting social events, and gotten advice from people as to whether I as a newbie should be hosting munches. It's about 50-50. Some people say it's completely unsafe for a new person with no experience to host BDSM events, while others say that it doesn't matter as much since I only plan to ever host social events at bars, coffee shops, arcades, etc.
Okay.
Go for it.
There's a lot there.
There's a lot there. Yeah.
Now, I think first off, I want to say as far as being a newbie and hosting munches, I don't see any concerns with that.
Not with a social event.
Not with social events. If you were hosting parties, then I would say, there might be a little something to think about there. But as far as hosting a munch, no, I don't see any problem with that whatsoever. New, moderate, or old-timer. Anyway, so, I think in a sense you're on the right track, creating your own function. And yes, it may take some time for it to get going. One other person, it's one other person that's more than none. So it is a start. What was that movie years ago? If you build it, they will come.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it will probably take time, but don't give up. The other thing I'm going to suggest, I know in person, I even say in person. I am always been a big advocate for community. Probably always will be. But in this case, with what you're looking at, try and find some things online, some virtual events. Okay? We host a virtual munch once a month. There are a lot of places that, since COVID, still are doing hybrid coffee times, workshops, different things like that, online gatherings. I don't know if you're a part of FetLife. FetLife, for all its misgivings, is a fantastic place to look for groups and for things happening.
And if you're not already doing it, to promote your own events and create your own online group for your local area.
So, look for different online spaces that are engaging in things that you want. Whether it's a virtual workshop or something like that. There are numerous groups pretty much for every interest there could be.
Oh yeah,
in the kink community.
For sure.
On FET. So go in there and search out your interests and find other groups of like-minded people. I know it's not the same as in person sometimes, but for the time being, you know, it's a step. Okay. So what are your...
I agree completely. I think it's a twofold. If you want to create your own local in-person group, if that is something you want to continue to pursue, you do it side by side because for two reasons. One, that gives you, you know, being part of an online community gives you some people to interact with while your local group is growing, but also it allows you to meet and get to know and come in contact with people who may be able to help you grow your munch over the long term. You know, when you become engaged in online activities where there are, I don't want to say prominent because it's kind of that doesn't feel right, but people who you think others could learn from, that you get to know as a person. Like, you're not there to just like seek out what they can do for you, but you might get to know people in groups who would be willing to speak to your group, and that can be a draw. Or you might get to know people who are willing to partner with you on something virtual, and then you can invite your group and you spread things out. So, you know, there's a lot of good that being in online community spaces can do, not just for meeting people for yourself, creating your own, like having your own space to just be a kinkster online and talk to people and make friends and whatever. It can also help you if you want to pursue your TNG munch, which I think is a good thing. One thing to consider, if you are seeing red flags in a community, I promise you are not the only one in that community. Part of the problem is that people will go to a munch and go, whoo, this ain't my vibe. And then they kind of drift away and it's sort of hard to find them. If you can, it'll probably be online. It might even be through FetLife, you know, connect with people who are in your local area that don't vibe with the existing groups. You can sort of invite them one-on-one, send them, you know, hey, I've got this event, I've got this group online, you know, come check it out. If you get to know somebody with more experience in your local community who's maybe been around for a while, that is not down with, you know, that group or has a different sort of ethos in that group, maybe they can partner with you and maybe they can use their connections to draw more people in. So I think that there, you know, two things can be happening at once. You can be working to grow your in-person munch and exploring online community, because yes, I agree, in-person can do a world of good, because sometimes what we need to do is be in a space with other kinksters for it to feel normalized to us, to be like, oh yeah, these are just people who go to work like I go to work, or they go to school like I go to school, or they, you know, have kids, or they have this, or they have that. We're just all people. And there is a benefit to that part of the in-person space, but the online space is not all bad either. There are some spaces and there are some people, sure, but there's a huge benefit to finding your community online, because some people like you are not in an area where you have access to a lot of in-person community. Some people cannot, for all kinds of reasons, physically go into in-person spaces, and so online community is what they need. So those spaces, online spaces, are valid if you can find the ones where you're not seeing a bunch of red flags and people take moderation and community guidelines seriously and that kind of stuff. So I think it's a both and I think that what you learn and who you meet in the online community may inform what you do for your in-person community. But true. All of it takes time. Even if your local community was amazing and they weren't filled with red flags and you were going to every munch and every event they hold, you might still not immediately make kink friends or meet a kinky partner in even the first year of doing that, right? Like, it all takes time. You are, because of the nature of your local community, you're taking a slower path. But I think if you're willing to keep it up and it serves you to keep doing this, I think you're benefiting the overall community in general, you know? And I think ultimately you become a better kinkster, a more educated kinkster by doing it, because the more you have to think about kink in non like mid-scene dynamic ways, but like big picture think about kink, the more it's sort of top of mind, and you are more aware of red flags sometimes, and you become a little bit more educated about kink in ways you might not have otherwise, and that ends up being to your own benefit most of the time. So yeah, you can do it if that's what you want, but also do not think that the online community is somehow bad or ineffective, or, you know, because it's not the quote best thing that people recommend, or the first thing that people recommend, that it doesn't have value. It has a ton of value. And there are Discord servers, and even to this day, somehow there are Facebook groups.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are folks like us who have, you know, we do an open live stream once a month, like you mentioned, on YouTube. But then we have Patreon communities where we have our own private Discord, and like the people are all out there doing the thing. It's just a matter of
finding and connecting,
right? And with people that you vibe with.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's what I'd say about that. Mm-hmm. So what do you have to say about that? Community is hard. Finding community, creating community, building community is tough.
And maintaining community.
Right.
Even, yeah.
So if you have any experience or any thoughts on that, or things you've seen, you're like, feel free to share in the comments below. If you enjoy this, we love a thumbs up. If you like it enough to want to come back for more, please consider subscribing.
And go ahead and ring that notification bell to get updates and new content.
And if you're looking for an online kink space where everybody's just kind of super chill and it's not like a, you know, hookup market kind of thing, come join our community. Join through Patreon, patreon.com/KaylaLords. Get access to our Discord server, get extra content each week. You get all that for as little as $2 a month. If you join a higher tier, you get more perks. Patreon.com/KaylaLords, or the link is below.